Emily Carter never liked going back home. The village was quiet in a way that felt unnatural, too quiet, as if it were holding its breath. She sat alone at a long table filled with strangers. Plates clinked, laughter echoed, yet none felt warm. Her mother had insisted she'd come home. "It's just a family banquet," Margaret had said. "Nothing important. Just eat and relax." Emily didn't believe her, but she came anyway. She scrolled through her phone to avoid eye contact. That was when she saw the trending post on Weibo. The title was written in desperate capital letters. "I was tricked into my own engagement." Emily frowned and clicked it. The post was written by a girl named Anna Lewis. Anna said her family invited her home for a feast. Halfway through, she realized the truth. The banquet was actually her engagement party. Everyone knew except her. Even the groom was sitting beside her. Emily's fingers froze on the screen. The room suddenly felt colder. She glanced around the table. Relatives smiled, but their eyes watched her closely. Too closely. She shook her head and kept reading. The comments under Anna's post were exploding. Some expressed sympathy. Others blamed Anna for being ungrateful. Then Emily saw a familiar profile picture. Her heart skipped a beat. The name was Margaret Carter. The face was her mother's. Emily felt dizzy. The comment read, cold and sharp. "Parents know what's best for their children. Marriage is protection, not a trap. Refusing to marry is selfish." Emily's hands began to tremble. She looked up slowly. Her mother was laughing with the guests, smiling warmly. Just like in the profile picture. Emily swallowed hard. Her phone felt heavy in her hand. The banquet suddenly made sense. Too much food. Too many guests. Too many watching eyes. A shadow fell across her shoulder. A large hand rested on her gently. Emily gasped. She turned around slowly. Her mother stood behind her. Margaret smiled kindly. "Why are you so pale, Emily? Are you feeling unwell?" Emily couldn't speak. Her back was cold with sweat. She realized something terrible. This banquet was not for Margaret. It was for her. And she was already sitting inside the trap. Emily forced a weak smile. "I'm fine, Mom." But her heart was racing. Somewhere nearby, a man watched her silently. She could feel his gaze. The banquet continued as if nothing was wrong. Emily lowered her head and planned her escape. If escape was still possible. The smiles around her never faded. Not even for a second. Someone poured more wine into her glass. Someone whispered congratulations. Emily's chest tightened. She knew the worst was yet to come. The post on her phone was still open. Anna's final sentence echoed in her mind. "If you're reading this, leave before it's too late." Emily locked her screen. She took a deep breath and waited. The trap was closing. Slowly. Silently. And with a smile, Emily knew this was only the beginning. There would be no turning back. Not tonight. Not in this village. The banquet had claimed her. Just like it claimed Anna. Unless she ran. And ran fast. Before the groom stood up. Before her name was called. Before the truth was announced. Emily barely touched her food. Every sound around her felt amplified. Chopsticks tapping. Glasses clinking. Soft laughter that didn't reach the eyes. She sensed someone sitting very close. Too close for a stranger. Emily turned her head slightly. A man sat beside her. She had not noticed him arrive. He wore a plain dark suit. His posture was stiff, as if he had been waiting a long time. He smiled when he noticed her looking. It was a careful smile. Practiced. "Emily?" he said softly. Her heart skipped. She had never told him her name. "Yes?" she replied cautiously. "I'm Thomas Reed." He extended his hand. Emily hesitated before shaking it. His palm was warm, too firm. "I've heard a lot about you," he said. Emily forced a polite smile. "From who?" Thomas glanced toward her mother. Margaret was watching them closely. She nodded slightly. Emily's stomach tightened. "Your mother speaks very highly of you," he said. "She's proud." The word felt heavy. Emily lowered her voice. "What is this banquet really about?" Thomas paused. Only for a second. "Don't worry," he said gently. "Everything will be clear soon." Emily's chest felt tight. That was not an answer. She excused herself to stand up. Thomas placed a hand on her arm. Not forceful, but firm enough to stop her. "Sit," he whispered. "Please." Several relatives turned to look. Their smiles never changed. Emily sat back down slowly. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. A new notification. Anna Lewis had updated her post. Emily opened it discreetly. The words made her blood run cold. "They sat him beside me. They told me his name. They said resistance was useless." Emily's breathing quickened. Thomas leaned closer. "You look nervous," he said softly. "That's normal for a future bride." The word echoed in her mind. Bride. Emily clenched her fists. "This isn't happening," she whispered. Thomas smiled again. "Oh," he said calmly. "It already is." At the head of the table, Margaret stood up. She raised her glass. The room fell silent. Emily felt every eye turn toward her. Her escape routes vanished. Margaret smiled proudly. "Thank you all for coming tonight," she said. Emily's ears rang. Thomas squeezed her hand gently, as if to reassure her or warn her. Emily stared at the tablecloth. She knew one thing for certain. Anna had been telling the truth. And Emily was next. Unless she acted now. Before the toast ended. Before her name was spoken aloud. Before the village claimed her future. Her heart pounded. The night was far from over. And the real trap had just begun. Emily took a silent breath. She would not go quietly. Not like Anna. Not without a fight. Even if the whole village stood against her. She would try to run. Emily excused herself under the sound of applause. No one stopped clapping. No one questioned her movement. It was as if they expected her to return. She walked toward the restroom hallway. Each step felt watched. The corridor lights flickered faintly. Emily locked herself inside a stall. Her hands shook as she unlocked her phone. Anna Lewis's profile loaded slowly. The connection was weak. As if the village resisted signal. Anna's last post was dated 2 months ago. No updates since. Emily scrolled through the comments. Many asked where Anna had gone. None received an answer. One comment caught Emily's eye. It mentioned a village by name. The same village Emily was in now. Her stomach dropped. She clicked the commenter's profile. The account was deleted. Emily leaned back against the wall. A memory surfaced. Her mother mentioning a girl. A girl who had moved away. Emily never saw her again. A knock echoed suddenly. Emily? A woman's voice called. Her aunt. We're waiting for you. Emily held her breath. I'll be right out, she replied. Her voice sounded steady. She didn't feel steady. Before leaving, she typed a message. To Anna's account. Did you escape? The message sent. But no reply came. Emily exited the restroom. The hallway felt longer now. At the banquet table, Thomas was waiting. He smiled when he saw her. You took your time, he said. I wasn't feeling well, Emily replied. He nodded knowingly. That happens. To every girl at first. Emily stared at him. What happened to Anna Lewis? She asked. The table went quiet. Thomas's smile faltered. Just for a moment. She's married now, he said. Living a good life. Emily felt a chill. Where? She pressed. Thomas leaned closer. Not far, he whispered. Margaret cleared her throat loudly. Emily looked up. Her mother's eyes warned her to stop. The message on Emily's phone vibrated. A reply. From Anna Lewis. The text was short. If you're there, don't trust anyone. Emily's breath caught. Another message followed. They don't let you leave. They don't let you disappear. Emily typed frantically. Where are you now? The typing indicator appeared, then stopped. The message never sent. Thomas stood up suddenly. Time for the next part, he announced. Several men blocked the exits. Emily's heart raced. Anna hadn't escaped. She had survived. Somewhere inside the village. And Emily might soon join her. Unless she found a way out. Before the doors closed. Before the night claimed her. She met Anna's fate. Trapped. Silent. And erased. Emily clenched her jaw. She would not vanish quietly. Not like Anna. Not yet. The night was still young. And danger was everywhere. The banquet shifted into something else. The music grew slower. The lights dimmed slightly. Chairs scraped across the floor. People rearranged their seats. Emily noticed a pattern. Young women sat closer to the center. Older relatives surrounded them. Like a ring. Thomas stood beside her again. You're part of this now, he said. Emily ignored him. She scanned the room carefully. Every exit was blocked. Not aggressively. Casually. That made it worse. An elderly man rose from his seat. He held a wooden cane. The room went silent. This village has rules, he began, Rules that protect us. Emily felt her skin crawl. He spoke slowly, as if reciting something memorized. When a daughter comes of age, the family must act to ensure her future. Emily glanced at her mother. Margaret nodded solemnly. She had heard this before, perhaps many times. We do not ask, the man continued. We prepare. We decide. Emily's chest tightened. This was not a celebration. It was a ceremony. A ritual. A woman beside Emily whispered. I tried to say no once. Her eyes were hollow. They locked me in my room. Until I agreed. Emily felt sick. The elder raised his cane. Tonight, he declared, we welcome a new union. Thomas stepped forward. He bowed slightly. Emily's legs felt weak. Her mother stood beside him, proud, unapologetic. This is tradition, Margaret said, for your own good. Emily shook her head. I don't consent. The room erupted in soft laughter, as if she had told a joke. You will, the elder replied. All daughters do. Emily's phone buzzed again. A final message from Anna. They call it tradition, but it's a prison. Emily felt tears burn her eyes. She wasn't alone. Others had stood where she stood. And failed. Thomas reached for her hand. She pulled away. The elder frowned. Enough, he'd said. Take her home. Several women stood up. They surrounded Emily gently. Too gently. Margaret met Emily's gaze. Her expression was firm. This is how it's done, she said. Emily realized the truth. The village didn't need chains. They used family. They used love and tradition to trap their daughters. Emily was led away. The banquet faded behind her. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She remembered Anna's words. Don't disappear. Emily promised herself one thing. She would break the tradition. Or die trying. The night swallowed her whole. And the village closed in. The ceremony had begun. And there was no turning back. Emily was led into a quiet house. The door closed softly behind her. The sound echoed louder than a slam. The room smelled of old wood. And something sweet. Too sweet. Margaret removed her coat calmly. She hung it neatly on the wall. As if this were an ordinary night. Sit down, she said gently. Emily remained standing. Her legs felt weak. You lied to me, Emily said. Margaret sighed. I protected you. Emily laughed bitterly. By trapping me? Margaret's smile never faded. You don't understand yet. Emily's hands clenched into fists. You sold me. Margaret shook her head. No. I secured your future. Emily felt something break inside her. What about my choice? Margaret finally looked annoyed. Choice is a luxury, she said. One young woman misuse. Emily stared at her mother. She barely recognized her. Margaret poured tea into 2 cups. Steam rose slowly. "Drink," Margaret said. Emily did not move. "Do you think Anna escaped?" Margaret continued. Emily's breath caught. She didn't. She resisted longer than most. But resistance fades. Emily felt dizzy. "Where is she?" Emily demanded. Margaret met her gaze calmly. "Exactly where she belongs." Emily's stomach twisted. Margaret stepped closer. "Thomas is a good man," she said. "He will keep you safe." Emily backed away. "From what?" Margaret answered quietly. "From yourself." The words cut deep. Emily's eyes burned. "You're afraid," Emily said suddenly. Margaret stiffened. "You were forced to," Emily whispered. "That's why you do this." Silence filled the room. Margaret's smile cracked. For the first time. "This conversation is over," she said. She opened the door. 2 women stood outside. They avoided Emily's eyes. "You will rest," Margaret ordered. "Tomorrow is important." Emily was guided down a narrow hallway. A bedroom door opened. The room was simple. Too simple. The door closed behind her. A lock clicked softly. Emily sat on the bed. Her phone buzzed one last time. A message from Anna. "They break your will first." Emily closed her eyes. She understood now. This was not about marriage. It was about obedience. Emily lay back slowly. But her mind stayed awake. She studied the room. The window. The door. The lock. Tomorrow was coming. And she would be ready. She would not be broken. Not like the others. Emily clenched her teeth. She would escape. Or expose them all. Before morning. Before the vows. Before the cage closed forever. Outside, footsteps faded. Emily opened her eyes. The fight had begun. Emily did not sleep. The room breathed around her. Wood creaked with every movement. She counted the seconds in silence. 100. 200. Footsteps passed the door. Then faded. Emily sat up slowly. She tested the door. Locked. She turned to the window. Moonlight spilled inside. The latch looked old. Worn. Emily pushed gently. It didn't move. She tried harder. A faint crack sounded. Her heart raced. She froze. Silence. No one came. Emily pushed again. The window opened slightly. Cold air rushed in. She looked down. The ground was far. Too far to jump safely. Emily scanned the room. The bedsheet. Thin. But it was something. She tied the sheet to the bed frame. Her fingers worked fast. Too fast. The knot slipped. Emily cursed silently. He retied it tighter. Her hands shook. She lowered the sheet outside. It reached the ground. Barely. Emily climbed onto the windowsill. The night swallowed her. She gripped the sheet tightly. Halfway down, it tore. Fabric ripped loudly. Emily fell. She hit the ground hard. Pain exploded in her ankle. She bit her lip to stay silent. Lights turned on nearby. Voices murmured. Emily dragged herself into the shadows. She crawled behind a shed. Her ankle burned. Footsteps approached. A flashlight swept the ground. "Check the back," a man whispered. Emily held her breath. The light passed inches from her face, then moved on. She waited. 10 seconds. 20. Emily tried to stand. Her ankle gave out. She fell again. A hand grabbed her shoulder. "Emily," Thomas's voice said calmly. She looked up in terror. He crouched beside her. "You shouldn't run," he said. Emily tried to pull away. Pain stopped her. Margaret appeared behind him. Her face was pale. Not angry. Disappointed. "I warned you," Margaret said. Emily laughed weakly. "You're afraid," she whispered. Margaret turned away. "Take her back," she ordered. Thomas lifted Emily easily. She struggled, but her body failed her. As they carried her inside, Emily realized something. This was not her first test. They expected her to run, to fail, to learn fear. They locked her in a different room. No windows. No furniture. Just darkness. Emily sat on the cold floor and waited for morning. Morning arrived without light. Emily woke on the cold floor. Her ankle throbbed violently. The door opened. 2 women stepped inside. They avoided her eyes. "Get dressed," one said. They placed a chair beside her. A white dress lay folded neatly. Emily laughed hoarsely. "You think this matters?" No one answered. They helped her stand. Pain shot through her leg. She nearly collapsed. They tightened their grip. The dress was heavy. Too formal. Too final. They brushed her hair silently, pinned it back, covered the bruises. Emily stared at the wall. She memorized every crack. The door opened again. Margaret stood there, dressed in bright red. "Smile," she said softly. "This is for your future." Emily met her eyes. "You're afraid of me leaving?" she said. Margaret stiffened. "You don't understand gratitude." They led Emily outside. The courtyard was full. Neighbors. Relatives. All smiling. A long table stood in the center. Red cloth. Gold decorations. Thomas waited beside it. perfectly calm, as if nothing was wrong. Applause erupted. Emily felt dizzy. She was pushed forward. A microphone was placed near her. "Say a few words," someone urged. Emily looked around. Every face expected obedience. She took a breath. Her voice trembled. "I didn't agree to this." Murmurs spread instantly. Margaret's smile froze. "I was lied to," Emily continued. "This is not a celebration. It's a trap." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone tried to grab the microphone. Emily pulled it closer. "I am not property," she said. "I am not a debt." Silence fell. Thomas stepped forward. He smiled gently. "She's nervous," he said. "Wedding stress." Emily turned toward him. "You locked me in a room," she said. "Is that love?" The crowd shifted uneasily. Margaret clapped suddenly. "This is enough," she announced. "She's confused." Emily raised her voice. "I am not confused. I am afraid." "That should tell you everything." A woman in the crowd frowned. A man looked away. Doubt spread like fire. Margaret's voice sharpened. "Take her inside." Two men stepped forward. Emily dropped the microphone. It hit the ground loudly. She didn't resist. She stared at the crowd. "Remember this," she said calmly. "You chose silence." They dragged her away. The celebration music resumed. Too loud. Too forced. Inside the house, a door slammed shut. Emily leaned against it and smiled faintly. The room was quiet again. Too quiet to be safe. Emily listened carefully. Footsteps faded down the hall. Locks clicked. Then nothing. Emily slid down the door. She breathed slowly, counting again. She checked her pockets. Empty. No phone. No keys. But not nothing. She touched her hair. A pin scratched her finger. Metal? Sharp enough. Emily smiled slightly. She moved to the window. Bars covered it. But the latch was loose. She tested it. Just enough space. Voices echoed outside. Laughter. Glasses clinking. The party continued. Emily crouched low. She waited for a gap. Someone passed the door. Keys jingled. Emily held her breath. The footsteps stopped, then moved away. She stood quietly. The hairpin slid into the lock. She twisted gently. Once. Twice. The door opened slightly. Emily froze again. No alarm. She slipped into the hallway. Barefoot. Silent. The house smelled of food. And incense. She moved toward the study. Margaret's favorite room. The door was unlocked. Emily entered. Files lined the shelves. Old letters, contracts, names she recognized, and some she didn't. Her own name appeared. More than once. Emily's hand shook. She found an envelope, marked with today's date. Inside was an agreement. Her signature printed. Forged. She photographed everything. Using Thomas's spare phone. Left charging on the desk. Messages flooded in. Group chats. Arrangements. Dowries. Emily sent the files. To herself. To a lawyer friend. To the cloud. She deleted nothing. Let them see later. Footsteps returned. Closer. Emily slipped out. Back into the hall. She locked the study again. Perfectly. Returned to her room. Just as the door opened, Margaret stepped inside. You look calm, she said. Emily nodded. I'm done running. Margaret smiled. Good. Emily smiled back. Because now, she had proof. She had allies. And she had time. The real fight had begun. Quietly. The house changed after that night. Voices lowered. Doors closed more carefully. Emily noticed everything. She was watched. But not locked in. Not anymore. Breakfast was silent. Margaret avoided her eyes. Thomas read the news. His hands trembled slightly. Emily sipped her tea. Cone. Patient. Her phone vibrated in her pocket. One message. Then another. Her lawyer replied. We can proceed. Emily stood up. I'm leaving, she said calmly. Margaret looked up sharply. You're not finished eating. I'm finished being silent, Emily replied. Thomas rose halfway. Sit down, Margaret snapped. Emily walked toward the door. No one stopped her. Outside, a car waited. Not theirs. A familiar face stepped out. A local journalist? You ready? He asked. Emily nodded. The engine started. Margaret ran outside. Her composure cracked. You'll regret this, she shouted. Emily rolled down the window. So will you, she said quietly. The car drove away. By noon, the story was live. Documents. Recordings. Witnesses. The village erupted. Phones rang nonstop. Doors slammed. Alliances collapsed. Margaret locked herself inside. Thomas disappeared. By evening, police arrived. Questions were asked. Names were written down. Emily watched from afar. She felt no triumph. Only relief. And grief. That it took so much to be believed. That night, Emily posted online, not her story, but a warning. If your fear is dismissed, she wrote, it is not love. Messages poured in. Stories like hers. Hidden everywhere. Emily closed her phone. She stepped onto the balcony. The city lights flickered. Somewhere, another girl scrolled. Another warning. Another choice. Emily breathed deeply. She had escaped. But the cycle remained. Waiting. She turned off the light and whispered to the dark, don't stay silent. The screen faded to black. But the story did not end. It multiplied. Quietly. Everywhere. In plain sight. Waiting to be heard. Waiting to be believed. Waiting to be stopped. This was not fiction. It was a pattern. One choice at a time. One voice at a time. One refusal at a time. The silence broke and could not be repaired. The end. Or the beginning.